Welcome to This Explainer. If you're a focused learner aiming for a Band 7 or higher in your IELTS Writing Task 1, well, you are in exactly the right place. Think of me as your helpful tutor, ready to guide you through a complete final review. Today, we're going to clear away all that confusion and look directly at what the examiners actually want to see on your paper. So, grab a notepad, because we're going to move efficiently through the exact strategies you need to maximize your score. Okay, let's take a quick look at our game plan for today. We'll be cracking the scoring criteria, mastering task achievement, improving coherence and cohesion, upgrading your lexical resource, perfecting grammar and accuracy, and finally, wrapping up with your final exam checklist. Let's just dive right in. Section 1. Cracking the scoring criteria. We're going to start by demystifying exactly how the examiner will grade your essay. What we've got right here is honestly the holy grail. It's the official IELTS Writing Task 1 band descriptors. The examiners grade you on 4 equal pillars, and each one is worth 25% of your score. Task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. You literally cannot ignore one pillar and hope the others just magically carry you to a Band 7. You have to satisfy the requirements across the board. Now, understanding what those bands actually mean in plain English makes all the difference. Consider a Band 5 essay. It says it recounts details mechanically with no clear overview. Essentially, that means just listing numbers, kind of like a robot. But then look at Band 7. Presents a clear overview with appropriately selected data. You have to synthesize the information. The examiner doesn't want you to just describe every single tiny detail. They want to see that you actually grasp the big picture. Moving right along to Section 2, Mastering Task Achievement. This criterion basically boils down to one absolutely crucial question. Did you actually answer the prompt? You've got to know your exact expectations here, and that completely depends on which test you're taking. Academic Task 1 requires an objective data presentation, graphs, charts, process diagrams, or maps. You're analyzing visual data without adding any outside information. General training, on the other hand, requires writing a letter that addresses specific bullet points. The format is totally different, but for both of them, task achievement means hitting all the core requirements of your specific prompt. Where is your overview? I'm asking this because a really common student pitfall, one that severely limits your final band score, is entirely skipping the overview paragraph. In Academic Task 1, if you don't have an overview, which is a summary of the main features without specific data, your task achievement score is instantly capped at a Band 5. Boom. Done. Another massive error, accidentally writing your personal opinion or trying to explain why the data changed. Remember, you're a reporter here, not an analyst. It's super helpful to keep this mental checklist for task achievement. For a Band 7, you absolutely must present a clear overview. You've got to highlight the key features, the peaks, the valleys, the major trends, and strictly avoid guessing why changes happened. Never write something like, sales drop because of an economic crisis, unless the chart explicitly says so. Keep it strictly factual and perfectly aligned with the prompt. All right, Section 3, Improving Coherence and Cohesion. Let's talk about how your essay's architecture builds your score. Putting my strict examiner hat on for a second, let me tell you exactly where scripts lose marks in this category. A lot of times, students hand in essays with terrible paragraphing. Sometimes it's literally just one massive block of text. Another huge weakness is repetitive connectors. Listen, if I see the word then used 10 times in a row to describe a process diagram, your cohesion score is dropping. It just shows a mechanical, unnatural flow and a serious lack of logical progression. To fix that, use these key editing steps to make sure your paragraphing is on point. Think of your essay like a well-built house. First, write your introduction where you paraphrase the prompt. Second, a distinct overview paragraph. Third, write a logically grouped body paragraph 1. And finally, complete it with body paragraph 2. 4 totally distinct paragraphs. This visual structure instantly signals to the examiner that your ideas are organized. Now for Section 4, Upgrading Your Lexical Resource. It's time to polish your language and level up that vocabulary. You can completely avoid repetitive word choices by taking 3 actionable steps. First up, paraphrase the prompt in your introduction. Whatever you do, never copy it word for word. Second, use precise academic synonyms throughout your body paragraphs. And third, avoid repetitive verbs. If you say the line went up 5 times, you're showing a pretty limited vocabulary. Switch it up. Use words like surged, climbed, or increased significantly.
Reaching a Band 7 absolutely requires the precise use of less common vocabulary. You have to upgrade those basic everyday words into academic terms. So instead of saying went down, try declined or plummeted. Instead of saying it stayed the same, use plateaued or remained stable. These precise academic upgrades are exactly what examiners are actively scanning for when deciding whether to award a 7 or an 8 in lexical resource.
Section 5. Perfecting grammar and accuracy. Let's look at the nuts and bolts of your writing so you aren't leaving easy points on the table. I want you to be totally honest with yourself right now. Why are you losing grammar marks? Are you relying way too heavily on simple, short sentences just because they feel safe? Or, on the flip side, are you making frequent slips when you attempt highly complex forms? To hit a Band 7, you need a good mix of simple and complex sentence forms, and crucially, your error-free sentences need to be frequent. Simple mechanical errors will drag your score right down. Honestly, a brilliant vocabulary is not going to save you if you constantly forget basic articles like an, and the. Always double-check your subject-verb agreement. If the chart says the number of cars, make absolutely sure your verb matches. And pay really close attention to your commas. Use them properly to separate dependent and independent clauses. Clean mechanics build examiner confidence. And finally, Section 6, your final exam checklist. We've reached the last stage of our session today, actual exam execution. Efficient time management is so critical here. Fun fact, so many Band 6 students fail to reach a Band 7 simply because they run out of time. You only have 20 minutes for Task 1. Spend 3 to 5 of those minutes planning and grouping your data. Then spend 10 to 15 minutes actually writing the report. Most importantly, you must strictly reserve the last 2 to 3 minutes for review. Seriously, do not write right up to the last second. In those final few minutes before you submit, run through this simple checklist. Take a breath, read your essay, and check your spelling. Correct any stray punctuation. Fix basic article misuse. Again, check those A's and thes. And finally, scan for and eliminate any repetitive vocabulary. Catching and fixing just 2 or 3 little grammar slips in these final minutes can literally be the difference between a 6.5 and a 7.0 for your grammar score. If you take away just one thing today, I highly recommend grabbing a quick screenshot of this summary matrix. It perfectly highlights the absolute must-have features across all 4 scoring criteria to snag that Band 7 or higher. Just to recap, task achievement needs a clear overview and key features. Coherence needs logical paragraphing and varied links. Lexical needs less common vocabulary and paraphrasing. And grammar requires frequent, error-free sentences with a mix of complex structures. I want you to keep this final question in the back of your mind during your next practice test. Are you ready to stop just mechanically describing and start summarizing the bigger picture? Remember, mastering these techniques, structuring those paragraphs, upgrading your vocabulary, and perfectly timing your execution is the absolute key to unlocking your target score. Keep practicing, keep analyzing your mistakes, and you are going to see that Band 7 become a reality. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.